All right, what is going on, everyone? And welcome back to the Mets Weekly Podcast as we are live at this very moment on YouTube and on X for post-game coverage of the Mets versus Brewers Game 2 of the National League Wild Card Series. But before we get into all the details, which are not really fun details, I have to remind everyone to subscribe to the Mets Weekly YouTube channel for live recordings of the Mets Weekly podcast following every single postseason game. For those of you watching live on playback, you want to join the conversation in the future, make sure to turn on those post notifications to know when we go live. For those of you in the live chat right now, I want to let you know that we love reading your comments, your questions, your concerns, all of that, and I'm sure all of your reactions to this game. If you feel like you're being ignored, you're not being ignored. They will just be starred throughout the show, and we will try to pull up as many as we can to keep the flow of the conversation going. Also, make sure to follow Mets Weekly on X and on TikTok for other content, where we just wrapped up Frank's post-game thoughts for every single Mets regular season game. It was titled the Mets Frankly Postgame. For our audio listeners, make sure to follow us on all of your favorite listening platforms to not miss the audio version of new episodes that go up at 9 a.m. the following day. And for those of you tuning in on audio right now, make sure to tune in to our pregame shows around 90 minutes before each game for Game 3 tomorrow. That will be going on all Mets postseason long, but only on our YouTube channel. So without further ado, let's get into our post-game show. And let's just say it started off great, and then it ended pretty sour. The Mets have dropped Game 2, 5-3 to the Brewers, now heading into a win-or-go-home scenario in Game 3. This was quite a loss, let's just say that, because they had a chance, they were ahead, and they just blew it. Plain and simple. Frank, I will go to you. I know that you are searing right now because this was not fun to watch with just 6 outs to go, and it just got away from us.
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things that I don't like. I mean, number one, the obvious 2 for 9 with runners on base, left a bunch of guys on. And it starts off in the first inning by the man trying to get the big money, hits into a double play, mostly because he tripped on his own bat and fell on his face in a playoff game, which I've never seen. But if there was anyone I could predict for it to happen to, it's that clumsy guy. So no surprise there. Never comes through with men on base. This has been going on all year long. We said, okay, here's your chance. It's postseason. Can you do it? No. So you had a bunch of opportunities against lesser pitching, and the Mets still couldn't come through. So that was frustrating. But where my main frustration is I think Mendoza and the Mets got too comfortable. They got too focused on defense and did not care enough about insurance runs. And there were a couple times where it really stood out to me because we talked about it in the pregame show. I felt Jesse Winker should have started today. I thought they should have no lefty bat in there. I felt like he should have been there. So I say, okay, fine. You know what? You don't want to start him. Maybe you want to try to pinch hit him later on in the game. Maybe you want to have him come in for Tyrone Taylor and what have you. Like, all right, that makes sense. And the time to do it, the one that stood out to me was in the 6th inning. You had the JD Martinez walk, the Starling Marte single. You have second and first, nobody out against a right-handed pitcher. That was the golden spot to go to Jesse Winker to try to get some insurance runs. And don't get me wrong, Taylor got a hit today. Taylor has been good all year. But why did you bring in Jesse Winker? I mean, what is he supposed to do? He's here to face right-handed pitching. He's here to be a good hitter. Man went on base. You got to come through. Like, you need these insurance runs because if Manaea's not going to go deep into the game, you know you don't have Budo. You're going to be asking Maton to work 4 times in 5 days. And Mendoza said that Diaz was kind of available, not 6 out available. I felt like they had some opportunities where you need these insurance runs. So they don't go to Winker. They leave Taylor up there. He flies out. Alvarez grounds out, Iglesias strikes out after the whole botched intentional walk thing. So then you have another situation. And also, I thought that Luis Acuna should have pinch ran for JD Martinez because you could have went first to third, you could have stole a base, and again, just get those insurance runs. And you could have had Bader take over defensively for Taylor and what have you. But whatever, they don't do it. Now the 8th inning comes up. Starling Marte draws a walk. Tyrone Taylor's up again. This is the 8th inning. I'm like, okay, now is really a time to go to Winker since you didn't do it before. It's late in the game. You can make your defensive replacement. Bring in Jesse Winker. No, Taylor flies out. To me, it stood out so much that Jesse Winker should have come in. I thought his back was hurt again. That's how much it stood out to me and how surprised I was that in neither situation did he come into the game. But Jesse Winker did come into this game. You know when? In the top of the 9th to replace Luis Angel Acuna, who was replacing Mark Vientos, who was due up 3rd in this inning. So if you're up by, this is the thing I don't like about defensive replacements. If your one of your best hitters, maybe your best hitter, second best hitter, is due up 3rd in the following inning in a 1-run game, why is a defensive replacement hitting for him in the 3 spot if you know that spot is coming up in the order? If you want to bring Acuna into the game, you have to wait till Vientos is out of the game. You don't do it while he's due up 3rd in the inning. That was just an absolute trap for Luis Angel Acuna. So, but Acuna didn't bat. Jesse Winker did. And he didn't come through. But it doesn't matter because even if he did, even if he tied up this game, because you took out Vientos and you took out Acuna, there were no infielders left on the roster to bring into the game. They had nobody. The outfielders have never played the infield. Nimmo, Bader, Taylor, none of those guys have played the infield. Jesse Winker, not played the infield. Luis Torrens, Alvarez, they've not played third, up the middle. The only thing I could think of, and this is the dumbest thing ever, was they could have put Pete Alonso at 3rd and Luis Torrens at 1st, and this Brewers team with all their speed would have had infield hits and bunts and went wild because it's the same guy that fell on his face in the 1st inning tripping on the bat. So I just don't understand where Mendoza's head was. He was not thinking short term. He was not thinking long term. And I just didn't understand the utilization of his bench here. I just think it was completely mismanaged in that sense. It ended up not mattering, but there is a scenario where it would have been an absolute disaster and they just did not plan for it. And it just stood out to me so much, these multiple instances, and they just didn't do it. And I don't understand it. Like, what's the point of using Jesse Winker when there's 2 outs and the bases are empty? Meanwhile, you had this gold opportunity. You have those insurance runs. Now, all of a sudden, this game isn't tied. It didn't matter because Maton ended up being so bad and you didn't have anyone else to go to. But I just feel like there were some other opportunities here where you had there were missed plenty of opportunities beforehand with just runners in scoring position, runners on base that they just flat out missed. But I felt like still, there were times they could have tried to really play for insurance runs, which I felt would have been so crucial with how the bullpen has been. And you just can't make it up that Phil Maton in his Mets tenure had given up 1 home run in 28 innings. And of course, in the playoffs, he gives up 2 home runs in the 1 inning. And he's been great in the postseason. He's had really good postseason track record. And of course, Jeremy Hefner comes in for a mound visit. And the first pitch that Maton throws after the mound visit, curveball down the middle, home run. Just so many things you can't make up. It was just so frustrating because they had this game. It was a winnable game. Like you said, they had the lead. They had opportunities. You win this game, you go on. Now you're going to game 3 with Jose Quintana, which it could go either way. He could get blown up and you have no bullpen. You're going to go to Max Kranick. Is he going to save the day? So I don't feel good. This was the one. Tomorrow's going to be tough. They could win it, but it's not looking great.
Yeah, obviously, we already know this is a 3-game series. And if the ball doesn't roll your way, you have one more chance. And as of right now, they really they got themselves into a scenario. This is the type of game you will never get back. You're never going to get a game back like this. And you're going to look back on this game as to if something goes wrong in game 3. Because game 3 carries in the momentum of whether it is the second game or the first game. The Mets were riding high off of that momentum in the first game, and it seems like around like the 5th inning, they just stalled. They just did not finish it whatsoever. The bullpen looked like it was doing its job from Garrett to Stanek, and then Maton comes in, and it's pretty much just came up back to bite them not cashing in these runners in scoring position. Andrew, I'll go to you if there's anything that you want to scream out from this loss. This one, again, like I said, you can't get this one back. Like, this is one that was in their hands, and they just let it slip through the cracks.
I mean, I can't stop Frank's rant, so I'm going to be very civil because Frank, great rant there, so I'll be civil here. But I think it all goes back to that first inning, and again, it goes back to the guy that wants to get paid. Think of how that inning went, and going in from last night, you have all the momentum of whooping their ass. Coming in, you get the bases loaded, and this guy who, again, is supposed to be this 100 RBI guy. You want to get paid in the offseason. Another ground ball, which, again, Mets fan can maybe find the stats. This dude's ground ball percentage has to be like Beatty levels the last 2 months of the season. Because all this dude is doing is hitting balls on the ground or looking at fastballs right down the middle. And isn't it poetic that literally you ruin the opportunity and Chourio first leadoff homer, game's tied, and there goes the momentum you had going into game one with the win, coming in bases loaded top of the first, and you get one simple run. Chourio ties it up, gets the crowd back into it. Manaea settles down. But again, it's the fact that the offense, again, stalls out. And like you said, not being aggressive. And I get it, yes, you had the 1-0 lead. But there's this point. When you have a team dead to rights, put the bullet in the head. And this is, again, I'm going to say it, and we'll probably lose this series. That's going to come out. The Milwaukee Brewers are not a good baseball team. I don't care what the record says. They're just a bunch of fucking noodles that are like, oh, they're great defense, they're fast as shit, they're annoying. They are not a good baseball team. And this is a team, historically, who always chokes in the playoffs in the first round. And you have them on the ropes, and you just like say, you know what? Here you go. Pete's going to trip over himself because he's a fucking moron. And then here you go, Chourio, boom, we're tied. Then you get a couple back, and you're like, okay. And then just that eighth inning, I mean, he was just cement mixing. It was like even the ones like that Adames AB, he threw like 4 cement mixers middle in, and he just kept fouling it off. I'm like, can you please throw the cutter? Just throw anything different. But he just kept throwing that damn cement mixer right back over, and he kept fouling it off. He gets one just past Lindor, and then, which I love you brought up, the Jeremy Hefner, and they even said on the broadcast, Garrett Mitchell is a first pitch swinging type of guy. You would think Jeremy Hefner, with all the information that he has, since he's, this great coach and we have all this data, would tell Phil, hey, don't hang one first pitch because he's an Altuve type guy where he's gonna try to jump you first pitch. Sure as shit, a little weak ass hanging slider, sweeper, whatever the hell it was, and of course that's the top of the wall and then bounce out. And then that ninth inning again, just. And like even like you said, and that's when I was watching the game with my dad. I'm like, and especially how this team has pulled bullshit off. I was like, if Winker gets on here and Nimmo, let's say, pulls the bullshit, it's tying. Like that's what I was like. Who the hell's playing third base? Because again, it was 2 out. It's like, oh, it's 2 outs. I'm like, did we not just watch the game 2 days ago in Atlanta? So like again, this team has pulled that bullshit off. So that's what I was thinking. Obviously, Winker flies out, and who gives a shit doesn't mean anything. But the fact that, again, you've burned your bench, and that's the problem when you have 2 guys on your bench, or you're using JD Martinez or Winker, who don't play great defense, and JD's coach doesn't even own a glove. And there you go, and it comes back to bite you. And again, like you said, not having that killer instinct to say, hey, yes, the bullpen's been great. Solid was good in this series, and overall has been solid. But again, it's a 1-run game to a team who is 1 single away from stealing second, a bunt, and a little ground ball, and we're tied with a 1-run lead. This is not a team that I'm like, if this is the Phillies, I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable because they're going to strike out and hit the homer, where the Brewers and these little pieces of shit noodles can get a little bunt single, can a little ground ball bunt, and they're getting the guy in. So, yeah, it was a lack of aggression and a lack of killer instinct, and again, the mismanaging of Mendoza, and then, of course, Maton just... Now, of course, he wants to pull, has to go a little Mets in the worst possible time.
Yeah. At the end of the day, I really feel I feel like the future of this series has pretty much just shifted to the home team, which is something that you don't really want to do. And the main reason as to why I say that is because of how I feel like this was 2 different games. And like I said, the first half of this game, the Mets were in control. And then, yes, the Brewers have a great bullpen. They have great pitching, but they had their opportunities. They had runners on. They had runners in scoring position, and they just couldn't get them across. And every single time, like you guys just both said, it costed them mightily not doing so. Pete Alonso strands the runner there, and automatically the game is tied. The Mets strand a bunch of runners once again.
Well, Pete also stranded Nimmo after the hit by pitch and balk.
Yep.
I mean, what are we doing here?
How many times have we seen this year?
100 maybe? Like, I mean, this is just, it's really gone to a point now where it's like we've talked about, he's had 3 opportunities in his career so far, 2019, 2020, 2024. And now it's like, this is, like we said, the expectation is the highest. You're not a rookie anymore. You're playing for a contract. You're Boris client. You turned down a really reasonable deal because of how good you think you are. And you're just not it. You're just not the big money player. And I don't even want the short-term deal. I just don't want it. I have to be honest. I just don't want it anymore. He has so many flaws as an overall player, between falling on his face, can't defend. I mean, he just can't come through in a big spot, never in a big game. I just don't. What are you paying for? What are you paying for? Because here's the thing, too. Is like, if you think that Viento's defense is so bad that you have to take him out of third base and you'd lose that bat, why not just have Vientos be your full-time DH or first baseman so he's always in the game and you don't end up with this situation? This is why I was saying that they pulled Vientos too early. Because if you were going to take Vientos out of the game to put Acuna in, to just take Acuna out, well, why did you even take Vientos out in the first place? You literally screwed yourself. 2 wrongs don't make a right. I just don't understand what the thought process was. It's a 1-run game in the bottom of the 8th against the Brewers' power lineup. You mean there's no chance they come back? You need a defensive replacement that badly? I just don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, the thought process just throughout from both sides, I think, was very, very suspect no matter what. This was definitely not the best game at all for Carlos Mendoza, at all from like how the Mets obviously played it. Again, I think that you can blame Mendoza all you want, but again, this team not coming through with runners in scoring position, that was pretty much the domino that fell to it happening. Of course, again, there's plenty of things to point out. Bringing in Phil Maton 4 out of 5 days, it's whatever. I mean, we even talked about it in the pregame show. He may not even be available today. And there he was in the 8th inning. But bringing him up against the top of the order, who's a soft tosser, yes, I get it. Like if you're talking about righty-righty or whatever. I'm sorry, a soft-tossing right-handed pitcher against the top part of the order in a 1-run game. I get it. Phil Maton's been great in the postseason. But you need strikeouts because these guys, like, you need strikeout pitchers. They should have kept Stanek in there, in my opinion. They really should have kept Stanek in there. And even with Reed Garrett pitching as well as he did, he has had tons of rest. I would have given him another inning as well. And even though everyone will say I'm crazy for that, Reed Garrett has high leverage stuff in these tight types of situations, and he can get those types of swings and misses, because when this team makes contact, like Andrew said, they put the ball on the ground. They're a bunch of noodles or whatever. I mean, it just basically just puts you in such a shitty position. So again, it just was not managed well at all. And I mean, there was tons of culprits as to why they lost this game, Frank.
Yeah, Garrett and Stanek both are much better swing and miss guys than Maton. Maton's a guy with low velo. And how about this? This ended up not happening, but once Maton got in big trouble, gave up the game, who warmed up in the bullpen?
I know exactly where he's going with this shit.
Adam Ottavino. That was the solution. That's what we were gonna go to next.
Wait, really? I didn't see that.
Yeah,
yes.
it was.
See that.
Ottavino started warming up
when that happened.
Yeah. Ottavino started warming up, and I just want to throw this in here because I feel like it's very important to note. This guy does nothing. I mean, it has gotten to the point. What are you paying for? I mean, what does he do well? What does he do well? He can't do anything. -8. That's insane. With the worst arm I've ever seen in my life. Yeah. What are you paying for? He can't come through in a big spot. He can't defend. He can't run. If he does run, he falls on his face. What are we doing here? Seriously. And he talks, and that's the thing that bothers me. He talks so much. Oh, I'm
I was
fine.
I was waiting for
I'm
that.
taking good swings. We'll break out of it. We've been here before. No, you're not. You keep swinging at pitches. The other
you
batter
also
spots.
have
You
never
keep
been there
swinging at
before
pitches
as
in
well.
the dirt. Like, he says all this stuff and he never backs it up ever. Prove me wrong. Hit a freaking home run tomorrow, please. Prove me wrong. Please do
Please.
it. But you won't because you
Hit
can't
three
come
of
to a
them.
big spot. You just can't do it.
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing, and that's the problem as to why I hear with this whole Alonso thing, and we can go for this all the time. And when I hear people make these types of excuses where the contract year is getting to him, you've been in the league for 5 years, buddy. I don't fucking care what's going on in your mind right now. Probably absolutely nothing because you just like literally if you bring the heat up in the stadium, his head will probably pop because he's an airhead. But at the end of the day, I mean, what is he trying to accomplish here? Every single time when I see this guy fail in these big spots, once again, that he's supposed to come through in, I'm thinking, oh, well, man, you really should have took that money. You really should have took that money, buddy. Yeah, you just screwed yourself. And he's pretty much screwed us out of tons of situations in runners in scoring position. And it's not like we haven't seen him do it before. That's the frustrating part about it. We've seen him come through before in RBI situations.
Well,
We have seen
That's
him
why he
do
got
that
offered
before.
that contract
And
in
don't
the
even
first
try to
place.
troll me with this, Andrew. We literally have seen it before. Every single year, this guy is literally penciled in for 4,100. He's done it before.
No, but the bigger issue is that he doesn't do it in September when they're close in races. That's the issue. I'm not even concerned because you know what? I don't care if he got 120 RBIs this year during the regular season, fine. But if you do nothing in the postseason and in the Braves series at the end, I don't care. I would rather you get 80 RBIs like you did and actually come through when it matters. Because those other regular season games against whoever else, the Marlins and the Nationals, it means nothing to me. It means nothing because what does it get you? It's what we've talked about the core. What does it win you?
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, we talk about it all the time regarding some of the homegrown guys. The only guy that we've seriously wanted to keep around and we will be keeping around is Nimmo. And, everybody else, I mean, seriously, it's really sad. And I've talked about this before, and this is a whole other topic, but between the Nimmo, McNeil, Conforto, and Alonso, we've talked about this such great core that they had. Like years ago, we talked about it. The most thing that these guys are known for now is being the top 4 in franchise all time in hit by pitches. That's it. That's all they're known for. Is there any playoff experience? No. Is there any playoff? No. It's literally just them getting hit by the pitch. That's it. And M-Easy coming in saying Pete needs protection. I think he's saying that, sarcastically in the way where we said, yeah, Pete should get protection because nobody was backing him up whatsoever. Then somehow he gets protection. He gets Vientos becoming a legitimate power threat in the major leagues. He gets JD Martinez. He gets Alvarez, who can hit for power, but, obviously a weird-ass season from him. You get a 30 home run threat in, Lindor, who obviously is leading off now. And then all of a sudden he just becomes worse. How does that happen? How exactly does that happen? So you can't make any more excuses anymore. I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, but from the perspective of Pete Alonso even coming through, it's not even just talking about it like, it's not even just, talking about it from, the standpoint of him playing for a contract. It's just the whole idea of it where it just seems like this elitist push from him in the offseason, turning down the money that he did, and for him to perform like this when he's the most vocal there. Like, yeah, we had a different situation with Conforto. He didn't perform, and then he was out of here. He rejected that contract before the season started. Yeah, but he wasn't as vocal. But to hear Pete Alonso basically just flap his lips every single goddamn time. And listen, I'm okay with you facing head on with the media, but some of the shit that he says, like, yes, he's an idiot. We've talked about this before. He just says a bunch of stupid shit. But at the end of the day, we're like, okay, whatever. You're still hitting 40 to 50 home runs. Well, guess what? He didn't do that this year. So every time that this guy flaps his lips, I'm like, shut the fuck up, Pete. Shut up. You didn't come through. You didn't do what you needed to do. And for him to just lie his ass off saying that I made all these adjustments. I did all this. No, you didn't. What's the adjustment you're going to make for Game 3 tomorrow? When everything is on the line, you're going to make sure that you don't trip over your bat this time? Like, I'm done. I'm done with it. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I'm tired of it. This will be an off-season topic, and I've literally just become, like I've said, just ignoring him at this point. Just ignoring him. Now, speaking of what we can't ignore, let's actually get into the summary of this game, because we are already about a half hour into this, and we didn't even run down what happened. But here's just a relive of everything that just happened. Now, in the first inning, the Mets would jump on Frankie Montas early on. 2 on, 1 out. Brandon Nimmo would open the scoring on an RBI single, plating Jose Iglesias, but the Brewers would respond in the bottom of the inning with a lead-off homer from Jackson Chourio to tie the game. In the second inning, the Mets would respond right back in the second after a costly error by Montas and a bloop single by Tyrone Taylor. Francisco Alvarez would give the Mets the lead on an RBI single. Francisco Lindor would drive in another run on a sacrifice fly to make it 3-1. Milwaukee would cut the lead in half after a leadoff double by Bryce Terang. Blake Perkins would drive him in on a sacrifice fly. Manaea would exit after finishing that inning. 5 innings pitched, 6 hits, 2 earned runs, 0 walks, 4 strikeouts on 86 pitches. In the 6th and the 7th, Reed Garrett would toss a scoreless inning. Ryan Stanek would toss a 1-2-3 inning in the 7th. And of course, in the 8th, Phil Maton would come on for the 8th inning. And on the first pitch, Jackson Chourio would tie the game on his second solo shot of the night. And after a 2-out base hit, Garrett Mitchell would come in as a pinch hitter and would give the Brewers the lead on a 2-run homer. In the 9th, Devin Williams would set the Mets down 1-2-3 on 10 pitches to hand the Mets a Game 2 loss and force a Game 3. But the biggest number that we can point out here is the Mets going 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position. This is now only the second time in 12 wild card best of 3s that they have been forced to a Game 3. And the Mets have played in both of them. Okay, well, full on breaking down everything from this game. We've already talked about it as to how this was not really managed well. I do want to get into some of the positive, even though this is the best way to just kind of break this one down of Sean Manaea. Let's just say that. Was he amazing? No. But as for his actual postseason experience and postseason history, this was definitely a great start for him. We have seen him struggle to get out of the 3rd inning multiple times. This is now his 4th postseason appearance, and this was definitely his best by far. We talked about Manaea being definitely a different pitcher, and let's just say Sean Manaea did what he needed to do. And I think that I'll flip this one over to Andrew here. Sean Manaea did exactly what he did not do against Milwaukee last time, that being throwing strikes. And he got the good location as to what he needed. Wasn't perfect, but he was able to put this team in a position to win. Even with the lack of run support that Severino did get last night. So what did you like from Manaea? Andrew, I'll clue you in there. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't, the greatest thing we ever seen. It was definitely improvement, like we said, from the last start. again, maybe this is just me always being the aggressor, especially with starting pitcher. I would have sent him back out for the sixth because, again, if let's say if he comes in trouble, then I would have probably went to Stanek instead of Garrett because we all know I'm not putting in Garrett in a situation where there's men on base. But again, he was a little conservative going to 5 innings. I mean, he didn't walk anybody, which is good. Again, especially against a team like Milwaukee, don't give them free passes to go start running amok. But overall, he was solid. Again, it wasn't his greatest stuff. Again, Jackson Churio bombs him first AB. You know, that's just kind of this kid is just he's a star, and again we're seeing and he's stuck in Milwaukee. No one will ever give a shit about him besides in the playoffs. So this is where you make yourself your name for yourself, and he's definitely done that. But overall, the start was fine. Again, you didn't walk anybody, only the 2 runs. Again, Bryce Terang being a pain in the ass as always, but again, a sac fly and a homer, you get 5. I mean, again, I would have preferred it, especially at only 86 pitches. I would have sent him back out for the 6th, but that's always just me being aggressive and wanting to push these guys, especially like I said about with Severino. You're not on the contract next year. Well, technically, I guess you are, but you're opting out. I'm always trying to ride as much, especially when you were, conservative in the first half. I'm always on push all the gas, and especially you could have, have Stanek ready to go just in case. So, again, it's what Mendoza wanted to do. He wanted to get him out early. And on a positive note, again, he gave us every chance to win. It just, happened after the fact is what happened. So, overall, Manaea was a solid start. Hopefully it's not the last one that makes it in a Met uniform, but, that's to be determined.
All right, Frank, I'll go to you on this one. Sean Manaea, just in the specifics, of course. Like we talked about in the pre-game show, he needed to start throwing strikes, and he was able to do that, and it was just the best way in the top of the zone, of course, with the sinker and the four-seam, of course. It was just the best way that he could possibly get outs with a Brewers team that just makes a lot of contact. So what did you see from Sean Manaea that you liked? Anything you agree with, disagree with that Andrew said? I'll send it over to you.
I'm glad that he was more aggressive. Not walking anybody was big because, like we said, walking this team is basically like giving up a double or triple with how they steal bases. And I actually let's give a positive credit to Francisco Alvarez throwing out a base stealer today.
Yeah,
I thought that was great tag by
Great
Iglesias.
tag by Iglesias as well.
Yeah, exactly. Great tag. So that was great. I think trying to limit this Milwaukee run game is a big key because, like Andrew said, they're not overwhelming you with talent. So, you gotta that's their best aspect is that speed. So trying to limit that is huge. Not give up those free base runners. They had 6 hits, so there definitely was traffic on the bases. Only 4 strikeouts, so that is a little low for him. So I think overall, I understand the thought process with pulling him there. I mean, Garrett was really good. Stanek was great again. And Maton, I get it. Like, Maton had been so good all regular season. And like I said, the one thing he did really well was keeping the ball in the ballpark. 1 home run allowed as a Met. And I'm pretty sure it was his second outing as a Met. He gave up the home run. And then he went months without giving up a homer. So is he due? Probably. And unfortunately in the postseason, he had postseason experience. So I understood the thought process. Maton just pitched really badly for once. So that's kind of what makes the whole thing stink. But it's like, I at the time, I wasn't like, oh, let Garrett go another. Oh, let Stanek go another. I was like, all right, let's see what happens here. Let them go 1 each and not try to overextend anybody, especially with Stanek just working the day before as well. You don't want to kind of mess that up. And actually, this whole team didn't walk a batter. So I feel like that's really impressive, especially when you consider somebody like Reed Garrett, whom my main concern was the walks. He didn't walk anyone either. So I really like that from this team, that they actually try to pound the zone. Unfortunately, they did it down the middle in 0-2 counts, in 1-2 counts, way too much plate, so I would have liked to see maybe a little bit of, and probably just mislocation. There's no way, like we said, with Garrett Mitchell being an aggressive hitter, there's no way they said the call is curveball down the middle first pitch. At least I hope not, because that's really bad. I feel like he probably just totally missed the location, absolutely hung it out over the middle. But overall, that was kind of what I didn't like from the pitching, was just I felt like there were some opportunities where you maybe could have went for some put away stuff, maybe for some chase stuff, because you were in such favorable counts. At least try 1 or 2 pitches, you know what I mean? It's tough to find that balance of not walking batters, but also not giving in too much to hitters. Like we always say, it's about throwing quality strikes. And I feel like there were some opportunities where they didn't get those needed putaways that led to way too many 2-strike, whether it was homers or things like that. And even for Garrett Mitchell, he comes in as a pinch runner for Gary Sanchez, who gets that infield single up the middle. Lindor made some great plays in this game. He almost made another one. And Garrett Mitchell was brought in as a pinch runner, and he hits the big home run. So, I mean, that just shows you the value of a really strong bench, is that, like, even though a lot of these guys aren't massive stars, they're all still solid players that could put together competitive ABs, even if they don't overwhelm you with amazing talent. They still just have guys off the bench, and in this case, Garrett Mitchell, who could be the hero for them.
I mean, Ricardo coming in asking why do they have Budo on the playoff roster if he can't go more than 2 days. He's just not stretched out to be a starter right now. So he
it's
went
also
2
this
innings
his
yesterday.
first time as a reliever. I mean, that's the other thing too, is like he's still just trying to get adjusted to this workload. I feel like if we've seen what happens with pitchers when they get overextended. I mean, I feel like you can make that case for Maton pitching a 4th time in 5 days, not having the effectiveness, because one of the things that should not go unnoticed is that in the first game of the doubleheader against Atlanta, when Maton was brought in, 3rd day in a row, he did not do well, and Edwin Diaz inherited that mess and made matters worse. But that all started with Maton not pitching well and giving up hits. So that's the thing, is that you want to say, oh, maybe we should have went Budo another day. He probably would not have been as effective. So it's not always as simple as that as well. But he better pitch tomorrow if needed. If Quintana doesn't have it, Peterson, you're up. Budo, you're up. And let's go get this thing, because there's no reason to baby him. There is no tomorrow if you don't win. So there's no more of that stuff. Everyone's out there. Everybody. I don't want to hear anything. Everyone's out there.
Yeah, I mean, everybody really should be available tomorrow. It probably Maton won't be available, but to be honest, after what I saw from him today, good. But like I said, I would have extended either Garrett or Stanek into the 9th inning to set up Edwin Diaz. I think Carlos Mendoza afterwards today just said that Diaz was available for only just a few hitters. I personally, like, the thought in the back of my mind at that moment, if they weren't going to extend Reed Garrett to another inning, they weren't going to extend Stanek to another inning after pitching 12 pitches and 11 pitches, then Edwin Diaz should have went in for the 6-out save, to be honest. I feel like that's probably what they should have done, because yes, they had a more full rested bullpen. Yeah, I know he wasn't available to do that, but it's like, if they weren't going to extend guys after multiple pitches, I mean, it really just looks like the Mets just got really conservative in this game. And that's kind of what really lost them this game. They just, yes, obviously, the failures with runners in scoring position, that was pretty much the reason as to why led to this game just completely getting away from them. But again, you're still going to have these types of close games in the postseason no matter what. And they needed to play it in the moment, and for some reason, I don't know, I just feel like they were just piecing these things together. And it just didn't happen. It just did not go their way as it did last night, where they had everything pretty much in place. But timely hitting is timely hitting, and going 2 for 11 with runners in scoring position, that is not going to get the job done in any possible way, especially when you have a bullpen that is as rested as it is. I feel like these 1-run games are some things that should be left in the hands of some guys, and I feel like building off of that momentum of anything that they had left, even though the offense kind of stalled out at the end there, of course, they should have just went another inning with Reed Garrett, another inning with Stanek. I don't know. I would have done that. But again, it's just, I feel like if you're under the 15 pitches or under the 20 pitches mark, you should get another inning. And we've seen Stanek go 2 innings before. We have seen Garrett go 2 innings before. I just feel like that was the right move to make. But again, Maton has had a great postseason career. He's done it for a long time. Of course, the one time where he's not dominant is in a Mets uniform, because go fucking figure. But, I think that at the end of the day, if you don't score, if you don't get these timely hits, yesterday they stepped on their throat. They did not just tie the game. They did not just take the lead. They got a lot of insurance afterwards. And there was a lot of good situational hitting. But then we talked about it. Hopefully it rides into the next game. And hopefully, they ride off of this adrenaline. And I also talked about them just being actually in the technical sense, talking about it where the Mets relied on ground balls a lot in that first game. It seemed like they still were relying on ground balls a lot more. I understand you have great sinkers from a lot of these guys in the Brewers' pen, not to mention Montas can also get some ground balls if he actually locates a sinker. They got to Montas. They got to him when it goes to his defense and just fully melting down the way that he usually does. But they just stalled completely out. I mean, they couldn't hit Trevor McGill, Yoel Piamps. They had a few runners on. They couldn't do anything. And then, of course, when they get all the way down to Devin Williams to shorten the game, Devin Williams, one of the most dominant arms in the game. I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, this is a good Brewers bullpen. That probably would be the only redeeming quality, but they had their chance, and they didn't do it. We still have not homered at all in this series, which is a little bit concerning because it seems like that is one of the main reasons as to why we score runs sometimes. But, they're going to have to show out and hopefully flush this game into Game 3. But right now, it's just puts a real sour taste in your mouth. Not going to lie, because they had it. They had this game. They were up 3-1 in this game for a while. And, at the end of the day, I mean, I don't know what to say anymore. Mark the Shark coming in. He's a Brewers fan. Great game. Of course, it was a great game. Great pitching. I wish that we were on the winning end of it, but we're going to Game 3. The only Game 3 out of the entire wild card round. As for the other games, you had Detroit win today, Kansas City win today, and then San Diego just won, taking out the Braves, which we can't really enjoy right now because of how it feels as a Mets fan right now, seeing them just give away the game that they did. Now, speaking of the individual performances, even though we've thrown quite a few people under the bus already, let's get to studs and duds of this game. One player that played well that we want to give flowers to, we want to give a shout out to, and then one who has not played well. Those are probably pretty obvious for this game. But Andrew, I'll go to you for your stud of this game. What did you like out of individual performance?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Ryan Stanek. Again, back-to-back games being used, and back-to-back games, you're getting absolute clean, dominant innings. This is, again, what we brought him in for at the trade deadline was like, well, in the postseason, well, track record of having good postseasons, don't always correlate in a Met uniform. But at least for Ryan Stanek, his previous postseason success has translated back. And I guess if, if we do end up, moving on, hopefully, has Ryan Stanek now moved into that circle of trust, and we'll see, how long Maton, if he can get back on the bus, but especially seeing him consistently getting back to dominant 2 innings, I'll give Ryan Stanek a little bit of love.
All right. Frank?
Yep, a lot of people in the chat, including CP, are mentioning him. Starling Marte. I mean, multi-hit game, stolen base. Really good to see, especially the stolen base aspect of it. Just going the other way, setting things up for Tyrone Taylor. Could have been Jesse Winker and some other guys that could have batted after him to bring him home, because that was the thing, is that, Marte gets on and he kept getting stranded. So, listen, I don't know if they're going to change up the order a little bit, maybe P. Alonso 8th, but I definitely got to give credit where it's due.
Yeah, I mean, maybe something to consider. Starling Marte, every single time that I trash talk this guy, for some reason, he just hears me louder than anybody else that criticizes him. And then he just starts to go off for some reason. Now, he may be older than we like him to be, and he may not be as healthy as he used to be. But he still has something left in the tank when he tries. But as for my stud, I think that, I just, it's easy to say that it wasn't great, but again, after the history that he does have in the postseason, I think it was a great start for him, and I probably would have given him that sixth inning until he gave up another base runner. Sean Manaea, easily 2-run ball through 5 innings. Again, 86 pitches. How much rest was he on? Was it 5 days, 6 days? What was he on?
Yeah, so he pitched Friday. So
Yeah.
it was 5 days rest. Just
5 days rest.
standard.
Okay, so yeah, they probably could have given him another inning there, but again, I just wanted to see them extend somebody for multiple innings. I understand that up downs are a big thing here, but again, this is the postseason. If someone has the hot hand, you got to give them the hot hand. But again, what's done is done. Speaking of what is done and what was done that was not great, let's get to the duds. There are some clear ones that you can talk about here. Andrew, I'll go right back to you. If you want to throw somebody under the bus, I think I don't know if he's muted or something. I don't know. You're back?
Yeah.
All right.
My Wi-Fi has been a pain in the ass, but it's
right.
the obvious, the guy that's leaving a whole Himalayan mountain village on the base path, Pete Alonso. Again, this is the Buck Stars is supposed to be your guy, and especially when you want to get paid, you want to go kill and trip over yourself, which we all thought, again, originally we thought that you just didn't run out, and then I would have fucking just benched him. But again, he can't just do that. Like, at least that would have been embarrassing enough. Not hustling in a playoff game, then that's enough. But no, he's got to be Sugarfoot just tripping over a bat, because of course, he can't, just chuck it out of the way. No, he said throw it straight onto his feet, then go. And then get absolutely doubled off on in the killer rally, especially to kill all the momentum. So, it has to be, the sugar bear himself.
All right, Frank, I'll go to you.
Yeah, it's got to be Maton. I mean, that was just a brutal outing. There's no way around it. Listen, if you give up a home run to Churio to tie the game, it happens. But for that to not be the end of it and to give up 4 hits and then the home run that has you really lose the game, it was just too much. It's just way too much to come back from. And what really just kind of made it sink is that as that's going on, you see Devin Williams warming up in the bullpen for Milwaukee. So it's like once Maton gave up, you were like, oh, that's it. That's game right there. We're done. And that's really kind of where those insurance runs really come into play as far as like when to use Jesse Winker. It's like, use it when you're not facing literally one of the best pitchers in baseball. Like, try to capitalize. Even though Milwaukee has a very good bullpen, like every arm they use is really good, you have a much better chance scoring against Joe Ross and Koenig and all these guys instead of Devin Williams. So that's, like we said, you really should try to take advantage of those opportunities. Insurance runs are huge, and you really should know that with a good Milwaukee team, 3 runs is not enough, especially when you already gave up 2.
I mean, it's pretty noticeable with guys like Alonso and guys like Maton today. And then it kind of just gets a little fuzzy afterwards. I will say that as somebody that I had in the stud category for quite a long time, even though he did get a hit today, I believe, Jose Iglesias had a few ugly hacks with runners in scoring position. I know that Pete Alonso was one of the main culprits. I know that I don't know if like Alvarez stranded somebody. I don't know what happened, but
2 guys on.
Yeah. But Iglesias definitely had an ugly hack against
There's Papayas.
Payamps?
Yeah, when they walked
Lindor.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Did they actually walk Lindor? That was so weird.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I was going to bring that up.
Based off what I saw, literally Pat Murphy was saying, no, I was talking to my catcher, and they said, no, we are walking him. That was weird. That was so strange.
Odd. Very odd. But yeah, that set up.
It ended up
that
being the
there,
right decision, but it was just very,
yeah.
very odd.
Yeah, I guess that he wanted the righty-righty. I guess that's probably what they wanted.
Well,
Which,
also,
you
you don't
know.
want to face one of the MVPs. Like,
With 2
I
outs.
just-
That was the other thing.
Yeah.
2 outs. I get there's running
Mhm.
second and third, but 2 outs, you can get out. But, and again, Iglesias has the best numbers running and scoring position on the team. So you play
That's
that
true.
game. But
Yeah, of course.
But they made the right decision. Well, they made the decision and they executed. So
Again, it's
Can't
more
be- I mean-
more nitpicking than anything
I
because I think that yeah.
No, I was gonna say overall, like Iglesias has had a phenomenal season, and obviously, great, like you said,
Yeah.
great runs scoring position, 21 game hitting streak, hitting 340 for the year. But it's still just very interesting that we talk about in the new school that your best hitter bats second, and to think that the guy you signed to a minor league deal who wasn't on the opening day roster is your number 2 hitter in the playoffs. I feel like it says a lot. Maybe if your Polar Bear was actually stepping up and some other guys like they should be batting second instead. But it's
I'm not gonna lie here.
Iglesias has to be the one to do it.
I'm not gonna lie here. I think that philosophy has kind of changed a little bit with the new rules. I really do think that kind of how it's been set up with the base running rules, that maybe your best hitter isn't really batting second anymore. I don't know.
I mean, you say that, but then we're not running. I mean, besides occasional Lindor, who else is running on this team? We've got guys with speed, but we don't send anybody. So I don't know.
For some reason, I don't know. And listen, you got Caution coming in, one of our high donors here, the richest man in the world, saying the Braves are done. And yeah, they may be done, but we can't really enjoy it right now. There's really not much to enjoy after the game we just had there. And listen, this, Mark the Shark, I'm pretty sure he pretty much looks like he's a Brewers fan, saying Churios has been pretty good for a 20-year-old. Yes, he has. He has been. He's going to be a star in this game. Trust me. I think. I don't even know what to say anymore. Regarding this just situation. Where we're talking about the same thing.
Can I say anymore. I wish we had Teoscar Hernandez right now instead of Harrison Bader? Can I say that?
Well,
he didn't do anything today? He's at home. He's in his pajamas.
Well, yeah, because he had a phenomenal season. But I'm just saying. I mean, this guy, we signed him. He ended up not being a factor in the postseason. So why'd you even sign him?
Hey, he's gonna hit the game-winning homer tomorrow. It's okay.
My God, I hope so. That would be awesome. But obviously for tomorrow, speaking of, we will be going live for Game 3 pregame, because there is a Game 3, because the Mets decided, hey, we're still the Mets. We're still going to make you sweat this one out. But that will be since 7 o'clock start time for tomorrow, correct? Is that correct? Okay, so that would be 5:30 Eastern time. That is for Game 3 pregame right here on the YouTube channel. Will not be available on audio, but on our YouTube channel, and it will be live streamed on X as well. But as for this game, again, there were some other things that I would like to somewhat point out, such as, let's just say, Starling Marte. Again, another great game, which I wanted to add some notes to what Frank just said. Another great game, once again, using the speed, which we have asked him to use for a while. I don't know about his lower half again, but, he was able to do that today. And listen, he had a 2-hit game. You can't complain. I think, once you look back on this game, again, like I said, this just doesn't seem like one that you get back. And I think we've seen the Mets take a lot of back-breaking losses and bounce back from them. But, you can't feel good about this one. You just can't feel good, especially when the entire second half of this game, it just did not feel like, I don't know, like the first 13, 14 innings of this entire series. It just quickly changed once Montas came out of the game. It really, I don't even know what to even say anymore, because it was just a loss that I feel like could have been prevented. The Mets just took their eye off the ball here. I feel like they got way too conservative, and they had chances to put the dagger in Milwaukee, and they just were not able to do it. Not even just from, runners in scoring position, just from being aggressive with the bullpen as well. Like I said, extending guys who are red hot, not wasting some arms. I feel like, even though it seems to have not affected them as much as you think it has, I would have loved to just have the 2 days off. it would have been nice for this team to just get that off day. But instead, they will have one off day if they win tomorrow. But 2 days off just seemed like something that they needed. I know they got 2 days off before that Atlanta thing, but it's been quite a turn of events these last, I don't know, like 100 hours or whatever, 84 hours, 86 hours. I don't even know. I'm not even doing math at all. But they have put themselves in a situation where now they need to go to a game 3, and they will be the only game 3. That will be at 7 o'clock tomorrow. So, I mean, at this current moment of how I'm feeling about this, I don't know about you guys. It seems like obviously a lost opportunity, of course, but I also feel in the way that maybe I'll feel different and sleep on it and it'll be fine. But I feel like if you were to point back to any point in this game, any point in this series where momentum shifted, it definitely was, obviously, in this game when I felt like when they put Maton in here, Jeremy Hefner goes out to the mound. The fact that, how many batters did Maton face before
He faced quite a few.
Before he gave up that leading home run?
At least played 5. That was the 5th hitter he faced.
Yeah.
Because Churio let it off.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Once the 3-batter minimum rule hit, they should have took him out of the game. I feel like that was the decision that pretty much took them out. Maton.
No, but who you putting in?
Who's coming in? Because he's not having Diaz.
I mean,
it's Adam Ottavino. That would have been your answer.
I would have put in Diaz, but again, that's just me in hindsight.
He
Even though they're saying, "Oh, it's only a few outs," he's your $102 million reliever, like I've said so many goddamn times before. The decision to not take him out, just the overall runners in scoring position. We're just saying this over and over again now, but I mean, this was the death of this game, and this could shift the momentum. Hopefully, the Mets just do something. I mean, we can talk a little bit more about the Pete Alonso situation because I feel like there's still people in the chat completely roasting him, saying Pete can't handle pressure. Yeah, pretty much. For me, it's Pete Alonso coming to bat. Will is pissed off right now. But I mean, I don't even know what to say anymore in terms of Pete. Like I have said, I've literally just been ignoring him. I really have. Because I have already seen him as not a factor to this offense as of right now, just not really doing anything. And listen, he got a hit, a little broken back bloop to the right field.
With nobody
Good
on.
for him.
Of course.
Yep. Nobody on. I mean, it's just the full-on timely hitting. I understand, like, you can't really blame it when, they don't come through in some situations. You can't really do that, blame it on the player, because sometimes timely hitting doesn't happen. But when you're talking about Pete Alonso, which somebody actually DM'd me this on Twitter. I don't know who you are. If you guys are in the chat, you can DM this to me on Twitter, and I will read it right off the screen here. Where is it? Pete Alonso leading the MLB this year, leaving 291 men on base. I don't know who this was who sent me this. Yeah, okay. So Sarge was that. Shout out to you. Yeah, I mean, there's no excuse for that. I don't know what to tell you anymore, especially when we've seen him do it before.
Could have had 300 RBIs.
But he always has 30 and 100 though. It's always 30 and 100 or 30 and 90 this year.
Yeah, you can pay
or
you can
84.
you can pencil him in because that's what he's done his entire career.
Yeah.
You can't tell me that you actually saw him playing like this. Come on.
I would say
you can't
this
actually look at me.
Not horrific. This
and
I
say
thought
that.
it'd be what's correct. I think he's making this like he's taking. You know what? I'm already batting.
So, actually, Andrew, you're actually onto something here. Pete Alonso last 2 seasons, 36% ground ball rate. This year, 42%. And September, who knows what it is, but it's up quite a bit.
September, it's 46%. I looked at that.
There you
when
go.
said
So
that.
that's
Yeah.
a lot
For a guy that's supposed to, hit homers, not really a good mix.
You can't, and that's kind of what we've talked about. So number one, you obviously can't hit a home run on the ground, and number two, he has no speed. That a ground ball for him is like the worst thing that could possibly happen, especially if he's falling on his face. So it's like the JD Martinez thing we talked about.
I just don't know what to say anymore.
Yeah,
Chavez's doing a great job, though.
Exactly
I have to give him credit. Chavez is doing great.
Yeah.
And again, there are solutions, but again, we'll save those for the off season. Hopefully, we're not talking about it after tomorrow. But Frank knows I've already been cooking solutions, but we're not there yet. We got to worry about tomorrow, and then we start cooking. But
we already know, Rich. You're saying check the many home run.
We know the high leverage stats.
We've broken this down all season long. I mean, the guy doesn't have a clutch bone in his body. He just doesn't. And it's pretty much showing as of right now. I don't know what to say. I mean, this was his opportunity to, prove that he's worth any sort of money in free agency. He hasn't done it one bit at all this season. Just hasn't.
I mean, I guess let's play this again. This is more of a general baseball question, more than but obviously involved. Think of all the rentals or pending UFAs. Santander did nothing. Bregman did nothing. Again, it's postseason. It's 2 games. Really,
I did see Santander get a single today.
Oh, he had a single.
Santander did get a single.
He did get a single. Okay, but just struck out with a couple guys on in the first inning. But again, just to the point of, and obviously Bregman has that track record in the postseason. But again, it's 1 game. But again, this is where guys get paid. Again, Jordan Montgomery could have got $90 million because of a postseason run. This is when you get paid.
He did.
You can be an average player. An average player can get paid big bucks. But again, Pete, he's an all-star, multiple time all-star.
Didn't David Freese get that big contract?
David Freese got a big... Yeah. And you can make up for a shit regular season for a big-time postseason. But yet again, nothing. He gets a 2-out...
Yeah. As you said, the Mets were ready to pay Ben Zobrist, and the Nationals paid Daniel Murphy.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, but, again, he's got to be, what? But everyone's going to still... And, I love John, but every time he says it when it's the stream, 30... How are you replacing 30 and 100? We can get creative. Again, I got plenty of options, but we'll talk later. We'll talk about it in the offseason.
Well, especially after what you've seen from Vientos, but Vientos didn't prove anything at the time that we've talked about it. But now...
But even still, there's plans in the offseason, but
this is the whole concept of a 162 game season, pretty much shaping English. That'd be cool.
That'd be great.
Shaping up your opinion throughout the entire season, and I don't even know what to say anymore. We have given him plenty of chances. He was given plenty of chances.
Yeah.
And whatever happened, but it's I don't again, it's just the continuation of, well, why would you get rid of somebody who's 3rd all time in your franchise in home runs? Why would you do that? Why? I don't fucking care. That's why. They haven't won shit. It's so aggravating to just see this season that Pete Alonso has had. We've even had it from the SNY booth, from ESPN, and it's not really their fault because they're just kind of reading off of the script and reading off of the card, but it's just to hear all this stuff about Pete Alonso being so great and coming, and being, having all the Mets franchise records. The Mets have never had a hitter like this. And then just to see him lay an egg in all of these situations, and then everybody just, in how they present it, just turns a blind eye to it. I'm getting tired of it. I'm really just getting so tired of it with Pete Alonso. I really am. And we already knew that this was going to happen. If he started to play like shit, we're going to start getting annoyed by his crap, such as wanting to be in the home run derby. The guy was playing like garbage. He was their only all-star, which he did not deserve whatsoever. I'm so tired of the Pete Alonso crap as to where, well, he's done this before. Well, why don't you fucking show me? And everybody will just completely turn a blind eye to it. And the way that he's just being shown as a franchise great, which he is. He is one of the best hitters in this franchise. He absolutely is. But like the fact that this is the fucking performance you're giving me, this is it. What makes me so upset is how, and it's not really just like the attitude that it comes off as. It's more of just like this view of listening to Pete Alonso just carry himself the way that he does, and how we know how he can continue to talk the way that he does and say a bunch of stupid shit. But the problem with how it is that the Mets, they need him to come through. And when he does not come through, all of these things that he does say with how vocal he is, it all comes off as bullshit. It all just sounds like a bunch of crap. And that's how it sounded. It sounded this year. It's not like Pete Alonso's never done this before. Like, I feel like he's done it before. He has been a productive piece to this team. But the fact that now we have seen it come to, light of him coming through when it actually matters. He ain't a rookie no more. I don't know where the New York accent came from.
Yeah, I don't know where the hell that come from.
But he's not a rookie. He's not a young kid anymore. So it's either he shows up or he doesn't. Listen, we can talk about this forever. You can talk about his individual stat line as much as you want. And this is the same thing, and I'm pretty sure, this is probably a joke at this point, but this is the same thing going with Jeff McNeil. Like, yeah, you can have all your individual stats all the fuck you want, but if you don't come through when I need you to, even though Jeff McNeil, granted, he is not someone who we expect to do much of the heavy lifting with the offense. Yes, he did a lot of the heavy lifting come start of the second half, to be honest, and I do give him credit for that. But he's not here when it matters, so he kind of sucks.
Fraud.
But wait, before you even do this, Pete Alonso rejected more than $100 million what Jeff McNeil's getting paid. It's not even. It's not even the same conversation.
Okay, I understand that, Frank.
He knew he was coming.
Allow me.
Let him cook. Just let him cook.
Just allow me to flex my ego. All right, just let me do it. All right. Oh, I mean, it's just the fact of the matter is that you need to help the team win. And all these other pieces that have helped the team win in these first two games, such as whether you're talking about the little things that Marte does, or just Iglesias being in the middle of everything, or even Vientos playing really well for his first postseason. Let's just say that. A lot better than Pete did. These other pieces that have contributed the way that they have to help you win in the margins, we're supposed to have the big hitter in Pete Alonso doing that. The fact that now he's been moved down to the middle of the order, and personally, I don't give a fuck. Like, I don't care. Like, I personally don't care where he's at. He is blended in so much to where he's just not noticeable. Because I know that I'm like, okay, I'm excited to see Francisco Lindor because that's my shortstop. He going to be here for a long time. He's at the top of the lineup. He's been money. Then you get to Pete Alonso, and I'm like, all right, great. Let's see what he does. He's probably going to do fucking nothing because he hasn't come through at all. I don't know what to say anymore. And listen, I don't want to make this a Pete Alonso episode, but, I mean, it was on full display that this guy has been an absolute idiot. I mean, he actually has looked like a complete idiot from all sides, rejecting the money that he did at the beginning of the season, 7 years, $158 million.
Which at
and
this
now
point,
he's
I'm happy
looking,
he has.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. Like, looking back, he probably did us a favor, but, and now he's looking like an idiot today, tripping over his own bat. Was it with the bases loaded? Bases loaded, correct?
Tripping over his base.
That
was the first inning. No, it's the bases loaded.
Yeah.
Was it 2-1?
No, yeah, they did the bases load, yeah.
Yeah, it's bases loaded first inning. That's what I'm saying. And fucking
bases loaded. Yeah.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
No.
It's just unbelievable. Really.
It was first and second?
Yeah, because Iglesias scored, Nimmo and Vientos were on base.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it
But
was
still,
first
I mean,
and second.
two
Okay,
men on,
no,
one
he's
out.
completely
Maybe
excused
it was
then.
first, second,
Excuse
second,
him,
and
yeah.
third, but there were two guys on. But still, I mean,
Excuse
listen,
him. He has the
multiple
third
guys on,
most
one
home
out.
runs in the franchise. In the
history.
franchise, so it's-
Murdering,
But
the Marlins
but
and the
then he
Nationals.
struck out absolutely chasing when Nimmo was at second after the balk later in the game.
Mhm.
So both opportunities he didn't come through.
That's the funny part to me, Alonzo, where we're talking about like with actual adjustments that a hitter makes. Trevor McGill has 2 pitches.
Mm-hmm.
He has 2 pitches. He was going high and tight with velocity on him. I'm pretty sure he dropped like one curveball he fouled off. How do you not know they're going to go to the breaking ball against you? How?
Yeah, it
Just
was
can't
so
see it.
obvious.
How do you not know that?
Yeah, it was so obvious.
Like, come on.
That's frustrating.
Like, I understand that curveball is a freaking hammer. It is a hammer. But it's like,
I mean, he's 30 now. Like, that's what I've kind of been saying is that like I just haven't seen adjustments. Like, I feel like we've been seeing the same chasing at the same stuff the entire season, and he's done it in the past before in like less instances where it's noticeable. But just like you said, the lack of adjustments, which does some go on the hitting coach? Maybe, but I feel like for Pete, if you're now 30 and you want this money, I've seen. This is what bothers me when we talk about the potential Vientos replace Alonso conversation. I've watched Vientos make adjustments. I'm yet to see Pete do it, and it's supposed to be the other way around.
yeah, exactly. Vientos has made adjustments quicker than Pete, like at any pace. Like Pete had a great rookie year, had a historic rookie year.
Juice
But-
ball, maybe.
Juice ball doesn't
possibly.
count. Fraudulent.
Juice ball, but still a sustained power hitter throughout his entire career. Let's not forget the batting champion. Let's not forget the home run derby champion.
I was about to say, like,
back-to-back
what
years.
does he
with a
have
bat.
to do with this?
Okay, listen. Hey, okay, we are past midnight here. Okay.
Oh, I know.
We're at stupid hours.
Yeah. Okay. Exactly. So
It is
no
This is
stupid
Mets
hours.
Weekly After
No
Dark,
judgment.
folks. This is
All
going
right.
to be
Oh,
a
boy.
membership thing eventually.
Hit
Yeah.
the ad button.
Yeah. I mean, it's just I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't know. I think that I've really minimal like at a minimum. I really have not seen this guy. I really have not, to be honest, ever since that time he had that bone bruise, Charlie Morton hit him, I have not seen him take consistently good swings for a long time. I really haven't.
That would be the Braves.
Who cares about the home run derby? Andrew, you want to answer this? Who cares about the home run derby?
I just care about it for a movie to show. I don't really give a shit about real life. But just good at movie to show.
The answer is Pete Alonso.
Pete
That's
Alonso,
who cares about
yes.
it.
Yeah,
That's it.
that's a good one.
Exactly.
That's his World
And he
Series.
got bounced in the first round
Yeah.
this year.
Yeah.
He let Alec
Only we
Boehm
knew
hit
that was
more
a
homers.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, he let Alec Boehm hit more home runs than the supposed greatest power hitter on the planet. I got big spinny ring. Yeah, so great, Pete. Thanks.
Unbelievable.
Also got clapped by Junior, but that's
No one fucking cares. Like literally, I literally could go out to a crowd of people who are wearing baseball caps and baseball jerseys, and literally no one would give a shit.
well,
I'm
the
sorry.
Royals
I'm
won,
sorry
and,
for
and
lashing
he had,
out.
and again another game-winning RBI for Junior. That's what the best hitter in their lineup does. When the games get big, you're supposed to produce. And Bobby Witt Jr. did that for the Royals. Tigers they don't really have talent. They're again kind of like the Padres, a bunch of speed demons. But again, your best player is supposed to show up in the postseason. Showed up with Junior. Tatis homer for
and Machado
homer with a
the
2-run double for
Padres.
San Diego.
Yeah.
Your stars are supposed to show up when the lights are brightest. Sorry, and you're just too fat. You're a DH. Enjoy
get the
Houston.
big
Enjoy the
bucks.
Cubs. I'm we'll get there. But yeah.
I don't even know what to say anymore. I just don't.
Yeah.
I really don't even know how to explain the situation with Pete Alonso anymore, that I feel like at this point we can just move on from it. Now, as for the post game for tomorrow, the series is going to be over no matter where it goes because it's a best of 3. We're going to recap the entire series, of course, and all of that stuff for tomorrow for game 3. We most likely will have some of you guys call in to see what you guys think of the series. Hopefully it'll be happy. Hopefully it will be, maybe it'll be negative. Who knows? Last time we were here, because the Mets were involved in the only game 3s in wild card history, It did not end well.
Oh,
Joe
well.
Musgrove took us to the fucking cleaners. We got one hit. Chris
Hey,
Bassett
Pete
didn't
Alonso
even
got
give
that
us a
hit.
chance.
Hey,
Pete
did get
Alonso
that-
got the
Pete
hit.
got that hit. He was the reason we still
Pete-
lost, but he got that hit.
Pete got the hit, and you know, we'll see what happens. But we're gonna stay on for a little bit longer, about 10 more minutes. You guys can get in any of the questions that you want to bring in. But I mean, as for other conversations that we can make, I do
Who the
want
hell's
to talk
pitching for
about.
Milwaukee tomorrow? Yeah, who the hell is pitching for Milwaukee tomorrow?
I feel like they're gonna go with what they went with on Saturday, where they went just like with that overall bullpen game, because there is not a legit, unless they're going Colin Ray again, which I don't see. He's been bad in September, so I don't see that. I think you're gonna
was
see that
that one pitcher
combination
on
of
there.
like, does Myers even on their roster? I know we saw Mayers.
I think it's
but
going to be
Myers there too?
Tobias.
Yeah,
Tobias Myers who's going to
Okay,
pitch.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I can see that again with Myers and the rest of their pen just kind of doing their thing.
Against Jose
I don't know.
Quintana, great.
Yeah. So Jose Quintana is going to be starting tomorrow. You know, wing and a prayer. Hopefully, again, we will have David Peterson available for long relief if need be. We'll see how far Quintana goes. We know that Quintana has had some success in the postseason. Sometimes he doesn't. Again, I'll have to look up all the numbers to get the scouting report on that. But I just
threw a
feel
gem
like
in St.
Quintana,
Louis for the Cardinals in
yeah,
the playoffs.
3.86 earned run average career in the postseason. He's pitched 18 innings, 5 appearances. So I mean, you know, he's gotten the job done. But again, we'll see what happens here. But you know, it's what is done is done. But they had a really good chance to put this thing away tonight, and they were unable to do it. And that's what really does sting. And you're gonna think about that moment in the middle of the game where they kind of just stalled out, and that was probably where the momentum would die if it did happen. All I can say is, even though I don't want him back no matter what, if Jose Quintana blows up, that will 100% be the last game he pitches in a Mets uniform. I'm just going to say that. But again, you never know. Maybe he comes through, maybe he doesn't. But this is going to be the defying game that decides the series, and hopefully
It's up to the offense.
they just
It's up
it
to
is
the
it is.
I mean,
pretty much up
you're
to
facing the
offense, yeah.
bullpen, like, and again, the Brewers have a great bullpen, but we're talking about Tobias Myers here. Like, come on, like you got again, like, because it's like we talked about. Let's say for the sake of argument, you do win. You're running into Wheeler, Nola, Suarez, Sanchez. So like you're going to be facing good pitching. Eventually, you have to come through against the good pitching, and they did in the first game. But today, it was just unacceptable. You can't do that again in best of 3. You get away with it once, but you do it twice, you're out. So there's no more messing around. Hopefully Quintana pitches great, but regardless, it's going to be up to the offense to step up, especially the guy that we spent most of this episode talking about. Pete needs to wake up. And even, honestly, like, Francisco, he's got no hits so far. He's drawn walks. I love him. He's MVP.
Got RBIs,
but no hits so far. You know, I mean,
situationally, he's driven in runs, of course, but we would like to see the big hit from him. We have not homered at all in this entire series. So let's just say that. For those of you in the chat right now, let us know of any questions that you have. Maybe try to keep it Met-centric, of course. But, you know, as for going into Game 3, definitely a kick to the teeth in Game 2. Will they recover from it like they have done many, many times this year with every single type of gut punch on and off the field? Hopefully. I really hope that they do. But you cannot help but dwell on this loss for the rest of the night, because it definitely was a what could have been, because they had the lead in this game, like we said, and they just squandered it. They stalled out, and it just can't happen. You know, yes, you know, there's multiple games to be played here. but giving the momentum away to the home team, giving the momentum away to a Brewers team that feeds off of these infield hits and this overall athleticism. You had a really golden opportunity here, and they just squandered it. Christopher coming in saying, will Ottavino be in tomorrow? I don't know. I really don't know. But we'll see what happens. Again, tomorrow we'll find out if we get the first playoff win in the Cohen regime. The first playoff win since 2015. Find out if they can come through. We were here 2 years ago, and it did not bode so well. It was pretty much over before it started. So hopefully it's a better game.
Shiny tomorrow, we should be okay.
Well, it's going to be indoors, so I don't think anybody's going to be cold or anything. But this Tobias Myers guy, hopefully, there are some cookies as compared to some of these guys in this Brewers bullpen who really shut us down tonight. And they got the outs when they needed to. And these types of close games, they happen in the postseason. Yes, you missed that, but a lot of offense. You can't score 8 runs every single time and expect that to happen, especially against a Brewers team that is pretty much known for their pitching and their defense. The very disciplined team as well. So you caught them on an off night in game 1, and you had it in game 2, and they just pissed it away. All right. So any other takeaways you guys want to put out here from tonight? Anything else you want to put out here? Any message? Any locker room talk that you want to have after this game? Frank?
Yeah, you got to strike early, because now that this is an elimination game for both teams, you're going to see McGill again. You're going to see Devin Williams again. And I feel like for Devin Williams, you might see him for 2 innings. You need to strike early, because if you don't, you're not going to get him later. So that's why, like, if you want to go to a pinch hitter early, do it. Get the insurance runs this time. Don't wait till last minute and double screw yourself. That was just absolutely insanity what happened there. So if you have a golden opportunity, and like Andrew said, even if it's like the 3rd inning, you got the bases loaded, 1 out or whatever. Let's say Winker's not starting and Taylor's up, and when these guys are up, pinch hit, get the runs. You might not get another opportunity that great, and even if you do, it won't be against as easy competition. So I do want to see them kind of be more aggressive with stuff like that.
All right, Andrew, I'll go to you. Anything you would like to add?
The whole baseball world's watching. You're the only game on. This is where legends are made. It's postseason game. Put up, shut up. Somebody needs to be the unsung hero. And again, it can be the Stars, or it could be like game 1, and one of these role players has the game of his life. You just got to see who wants it more and who wants to go into that fucking mess that is Philadelphia. So you get a win, go have fun.
All right, we'll see what happens again. For the final time, Mets lose 5-3 in Game 2. The series is now tied 1-1 as we go to a sudden death win or go home Game 3, which we will have pre-game coverage on this channel. And that will be at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time. And then, of course, about 20 minutes after the game, no matter win or loss, we will be live to give our post-game thoughts and reactions. Hopefully they're positive. I really hope that they are. For those of you watching as of right now, thank you for tuning in. For those of you who came in for a little bit, for those of you watching on playback, thank you for watching, and actually all of the support throughout the entire season. I mean, it's been awesome. Make sure to follow us on X and on TikTok. And of course, our audio listeners, this episode will be up at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Follow us on those listening platforms as well. Turn on those post notifications. Follow every single one of us individually. The links are in the description. It was quite a punch to the gut tonight. Let's see if they can climb out of it and come up with a win in the most important pivotal 3-game series where if the ball doesn't roll your way, you're a little fucked. Let's just say that. Tough loss tonight. Hopefully they can bounce back and punch their ticket to Philly. Would have been nice to do it tonight, but it just was not meant to be. Let's go, Mets, and we will see you guys tomorrow.